And what I really wish is that when it comes to race and identity, I've always identified racially as in Black culture, in the Black community.
Not everything is what it seems, especially when it comes to identity. Some celebrities built entire careers on backgrounds that weren't real, fooling fans, Hollywood, and even history. From actors to activists, these people lived lives for years, but the truth always finds a way out. Here are 10 celebrities you never knew were actually white. Number 10, Rachel Dolezal. Rachel Dolezal created her life based on a personality that didn't belong to her. She was born in 1977 to white parents in Montana and spent many years identifying as a Black woman. She got involved in Black culture, art, and politics. She became a college professor in African Studies, worked for the NAACP, and said she was a victim of racist attacks. But in 2015, everything fell apart. A reporter asked Dolezal a straightforward question: "Are you African American?" Her nervous pause made people curious. Soon after, her parents revealed the truth. Dolezal was born to 2 white parents of German and Czech heritage. She did not have any African heritage. The news shocked everyone, as people were amazed at how much she had lied. What made her lie unbelievable was how much work she put into pretending to be someone else. She used tanning sprays to darken her skin, styled her hair in braids and curls, and officially changed her name to Nkechi Amari Diallo. She said she grew up in a Black home and made up a childhood with experiences she never had. The reality was that she had white brothers and sisters who grew up in a traditional Christian family. Her actions caused people to be very upset. Many people viewed her acts as a serious betrayal. Black activists who worked for civil rights saw her as someone who took on an identity that she had never had to fight for. For them, being Black was more than just how someone looks. It was an experience influenced by history, culture, and struggle. Dolezal explained herself by saying that race is not just about biology, but also about identity and personal experiences. She stood by her statements, not admitting that she had given false information. She lost her job, had to quit the NAACP, and became a national issue. Today, she still sees herself as Black, even with the criticism she faced. She has written a book about her life, but many people still consider her a fake. Her story is one of the strangest cases of pretending to be someone of a different race in different times. A woman changed her identity and lived as someone else for many years without being caught. She wasn't the only person who deceived people. While Dolezal made headlines, another academic, Jessica Krug, was living a similar lie, only she took it even further. Number 9, Jessica Krug. Rachel Dolezal's story was surprising, but Jessica Krug's actions were even more deceitful. Unlike Dolezal, who was called out by the others, Krug confessed to her own lies, only when she had no other option. For years, she built her job by claiming to be Black and Latina, moving up in academia. In 2020, her life fell apart when she admitted that she was a white Jewish woman from Kansas who had been lying to be someone else for a long time. Krug wasn't just making up her past, she was really experiencing it. She didn't just say she was Black, she made up different names and changed her story to make it seem more believable. Sometimes she said she was from North Africa, and other times she said she had Afro-Caribbean ancestry. She used a strong accent, changed how she looked, and really got into the culture she was trying to be a part of. She was so good at deceiving others that nobody noticed anything was wrong. Krug, a professor at George Washington University, specializes in African and Latina American studies and is recognized as an expert on race, colonialism, and injustice. She wrote books, gave talks, and spoke strongly about social justice, always from the viewpoint of someone she said was personally affected. She also called out other white academics, asking them to make room for people of color. In the meantime, she was using that room under misleading reasons. She fell from grace in 2020 when people in academia started to question her background. Feeling cornered, Krug did something surprising. She admitted the truth. In a long post, she confessed that she had been dishonest about her identity for years. She described herself as a culture leech and acknowledged that she shouldn't claim the experiences of Black and Latino people. But the harm was already done. Her co-workers, students, and the groups she said she represented were very angry. She quit her job, lost her book deals, and became known as an example of racial fraud in education. Unlike Dolezal, who still claims to be Black, Krug stayed out of the spotlight after she admitted the truth. Her story shows that lies, no matter how clever, will always be revealed. Enter Iron Eyes Cody, the man who built a career playing Native American roles while hiding a very different truth. Number 8. Iron Eyes Cody. Jessica Krug's actions surprised the academic world, but Hollywood also has a long history of misrepresenting race. Long before her, there was Iron Eyes Cody, a man who became the face of Native American culture in movies, television, and even environmental campaigns. With his long hair, traditional clothes, and serious demeanor, he made people believe he was indigenous. But there was one big issue. He wasn't. Born Espera Oscar de Corti in 1904 to Italian immigrants in Louisiana, Cody had no Native American blood at all. Yet throughout his entire career, he represented himself as Cherokee and Cree. He went to great lengths to keep up the appearance, even in his personal life. He married a Native American woman, adopted indigenous children, and claimed to have been raised in tribal customs. He never once broke character, even when questioned. Cody was able to fool people because he appeared convincing. Hollywood admired his wrinkled face, serious eyes, and calm attitude. He became the top choice for Native American parts, acting in more than 100 films, including famous ones like The Big Trail and Sitting Bull. To the crowd, he was genuine. In conversations, he talked about the challenges faced by indigenous peoples as if they were his own experiences. But the part that cemented his legacy came in the 1970s. Cody played in a famous anti-pollution ad where he stood by a polluted river, a single tear rolling down his cheek. The ad became one of the most memorable public service messages ever. A proud Native American in America was sad about the damage done to the land. Nobody realized that the Native American was actually an Italian man pretending to be someone else. His true name was fully revealed in the 1990s. Journalists dug into his past and found records showing he was the son of Sicilian immigrants, not an indigenous elder. Even then, Cody rejected the truth. He said that he was adopted by a Cherokee family and grew up with them. But the proof was overwhelming, and his lifelong act finally crumbled. Unlike Krug and Dolezal, Cody never admitted his lie. He took his story to the grave, still claiming he was Native American when he died in 1999. His legacy is mixed. He raised awareness of indigenous problems, but he did it by taking on an identity that wasn't his. And he wasn't the only one. Hollywood has seen other stars hiding their true backgrounds, and one of the most famous cases was actress Merle Oberon, a woman who spent her life covering up her real origins. Number 7. Merle Oberon. Iron Eyes Cody wasn't the only person in Hollywood who pretended to be someone they weren't. Long before her story came out, Merle Oberon created a completely fake identity to fit into an industry that did not accept women like her. Unlike Cody, who kept lying until he died, Oberon spent her life avoiding the truth. Merle Oberon was born in India in 1911 and had a mixed background of British and South Asian blood. In early Hollywood, which was divided by race, this was an issue. Leading actresses were usually assumed to be white, and Oberon knew that if people found out about her true background, her career would be finished before it even started. She made a big change. She changed her past. She said she was born in Tasmania, Australia, to white parents. To make the story believable, her birth papers were changed, and she acted like a member of the upper class, speaking with a flawless British accent. But her actual upbringing was very different from the flashy picture she showed. She grew up in poor India, raised by her mother, whom she later said was her helper to prevent anyone from being suspicious. Oberon's plan was successful. Her beauty and polished personality attracted Hollywood's attention, and she quickly became famous. She acted in popular films such as The Scarlet Pimpernel, 1934, and Wuthering Heights, 1939, and received praise for her performances. Audiences loved her, and directors viewed her as the ideal main actress. No one doubted her story because they believed that someone so successful had to be white. But keeping up the appearance was hard. Oberon took serious steps to hide her background. She stayed out of direct sunlight to keep her skin light and didn't often talk about her past. While in Australia, she would not agree to interviews that could reveal any errors in her story. Even with all the gossip, she never admitted what really happened. It was only after she died in 1979 that experts found out how much she had lied. Her birth records in India were discovered, showing that she had made up her entire story. By that time, it didn't matter. She had already secured her spot in Hollywood history. Another figure who fooled the world, this time in the literary world, was H.G. Carrillo, a novelist whose entire identity turned out to be fiction. Number 6. H.G. Carrillo. Merle Oberon hid her background to meet Hollywood's strict expectations. In contrast, H.G. Carrillo went even further by inventing a completely new personality. Unlike Oberon, who hid her lie, Carrillo's deceit came to light only after he died, shocking those who knew him. For many years, Carrillo was recognized as a Cuban-American writer who told real and engaging stories about the immigrant experience. He wrote a highly praised novel, Losing My Spanish, and became a recognized professor, columnist, and literary figure. He talked strongly about his childhood in Havana, showing how his family struggled when they left Cuba and started a new life in the United States. People saw him as genuine because of his strong Spanish accent, cultural references, and the way he presented himself, which all showed his Cuban identity. But when he died in 2020, everything fell apart. His tribute, which celebrated his life, included his real name, Herman Glenn Carroll. He was not a Cuban refugee. He was an African-American man from Detroit. There was no childhood in Cuba or dramatic escape from communism. The life he created was not real. The literary community was shocked. Carrillo had tricked everyone, including other writers, university co-workers, and the Latino community he said he stood for. How did he do it? It turns out he had been crafting this character for decades. At one stage of his life, he changed his name to a more Latin-sounding one and started using an accent that even native Spanish speakers believed. He knew so much about Cuban society that no one ever doubted him. He wasn't just acting like he was Cuban. He was fully embracing being Cuban in every way, except for his heritage. Unlike others who were caught lying about their race, Carrillo has never had to face the consequences for his actions. His secret was found out only after he died, making many question whether he had deceived himself as well. Did he believe the story he made up? Another scholar, Andrea Smith, spent decades claiming to be Native American until the truth caught up with her. Number 5. Andrea Smith. H.G. Carrillo's tricks surprised many in the literary world, but in politics and education, there was another case of fake identity that lasted even longer. Andrea Smith, a recognized scholar and campaigner, has built her career by claiming to be Cherokee. She wrote books, led groups, and talked about indigenous rights, all while keeping a secret. She was not Native American at all. For many years, Smith was considered a strong leader in Native action. She helped start Incite, a group that works to stop abuse against Indigenous women, and has written books about racial injustice and feminism. Her work was well respected, and she became a professor, teaching Native American studies at leading colleges. She portrayed herself as a Cherokee woman advocating for her community, but her statements never fully made sense. Native American activists and researchers started to doubt her background because there were no real official Cherokee Nation papers connecting her to any tribe. In 2008, the Cherokee Nation rejected her claim to being of Cherokee ancestry. Even with mounting pressure, Smith wouldn't accept the truth. Instead of showing proof of her ancestry, she chose to ignore the claims and kept doing her job. The controversy didn't prevent her from moving forward in her work. Even with growing proof against her, she kept her respected academic jobs and kept writing about Native identity. Critics said she was taking chances that should go to genuine Indigenous scholars and that she was pretending to be someone she wasn't. In 2015, a thorough interview revealed her actions. Unlike Jessica Krug, who openly confessed, Smith never admitted to being dishonest. She didn't answer directly and even said that asking about racial identity was like attacking someone's personal experience. Even after people stopped believing her, she continued to work as a professor in college. Smith's lies weren't just about her, it affected others in a significant way. Indigenous activists worked hard for years to have a voice in schools and activism. However, one of the most well-known leaders was found to be fake. Her story contributed to a bigger discussion about pretendians, people who incorrectly say they have native blood to benefit themselves. But she wasn't the only professor caught in a web of lies. Another academic, Churchill, also spent years pretending to be Native American until his past finally caught up with him. Number 4, Churchill. Churchill was a well-respected teacher who focused on Native American history and issues related to their suffering for many years. He said he is part Cherokee and Creek and became known for his strong opinions on colonialism and Indigenous rights. When people examined his past, they found no evidence of his Native ancestry. They found out that Churchill was completely of European stock. Even when faced with proof, Churchill never gave in. He argued that identity is more than just heritage and that he has the right to identify as Native. The controversy peaked in 2005 when his extreme political comments gained national notice, resulting in investigations into his academic work. He was eventually let go from his job at the University of Colorado for copying others' work and bad practices in study, ending a career based on dishonesty. Churchill wasn't the only person who faced backlash for falsely claiming Indigenous identity. Even in politics, racial misrepresentation can become a major scandal. Just ask Elizabeth Warren. Number 3, Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren is different from others on this list because she didn't build a career on lies. However, her claim of having Native American ancestry caused a lot of debate. For years, Warren claimed she had Cherokee heritage and identified herself as a minority in official listings when she was a professor. The problem got worse when she ran for president. Critics said she used a fake name to help her career. A DNA test showed she had a distant Native parent, but not enough to say she is Indigenous. She later said sorry to the Cherokee Nation, acknowledging her mistake. Warren's claims caused a lot of anger in politics, and the entertainment business has also had its own cases of identity fraud. One of the most fascinating cases was a musician who fooled the world simply by staying silent, Korla Pandit. Number 2, Korla Pandit. Korla Pandit was a captivating pianist, famous for his unique looks and quiet performances. He wore a turban and had a meaningful look, making him seem like an Indian singer with an interesting background. After he died, it was discovered that he wasn't Indian at all. He was actually John Rowland Redd, an African-American guy from Missouri. In the 1940s, where there were few chances for black artists, Pandit changed his style and approach. By taking on an Indian identity, he became famous and successful in a way that he couldn't have as a black man in America during that time. Unlike others whose secrets were revealed while they were alive, Pandit's secret was only discovered after his death. Another man who blurred the lines between deception and impact was Grey Owl, a British man who convinced the world he was Native American to protect Canada's wilderness. Number 1, Grey Owl. Grey Owl was a famous conservationist in the 20th century, known for his commitment to saving Canada's natural areas. He showed himself as an Indigenous leader by wearing traditional Native clothes, living with Indigenous communities, and writing books about the value of taking care of the environment. To the world, he was a powerful voice for nature and Indigenous customs. But Grey Owl wasn't actually native. His real name was Archibald Bellany, and he was born in England in 1888. He was interested in indigenous culture since he was young, so when he was in his 20s, he moved to Canada and embraced a new way of life. He embraced native traditions, married indigenous women, and discussed nature and protection as if it were his family obligation. His charm and strong understanding of the surroundings made his performance believable. For many years, no one challenged him. He gained recognition by writing books and giving talks about indigenous knowledge and environmental problems. His impact encouraged people to change their views on conservation and to care for and defend the land. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more eye-opening stories. Click on the next video popping up on your screen. You won't want to miss it.